Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the entire world, literally every major superpower on Earth, has just put a massive bounty on your head. That is exactly what happens to Denji in the International Assassins arc of Chainsaw Man. After the chaos of the Bomb Girl arc, Denji's existence as the Chainsaw Devil goes global. Suddenly, every country wants a piece of his heart, literally. Up until Chapter 53, the world of Chainsaw Man felt relatively localized. Denji was fighting devils in Japan, working under public safety, dealing with local threats like the Katana Man or the tragic fallout of the Bomb Girl, Reese. Denji's existence is no longer a closely guarded secret of the Japanese government. His hybrid nature is broadcasted globally. Suddenly, the narrative framework expands from an urban dark fantasy into a high-stakes, international political thriller. The world powers realize that Japan holds a weapon capable of altering the global balance of power, the heart of the Chainsaw Devil. Knowing that an international storm is brewing, Makima prepares Tokyo for an all-out siege. She doesn't just rely on standard devil hunters. She calls in the absolute elite, creating a protection detail designed to counter specialized human killers rather than random devils. This introduction phase is crucial because it completely reestablishes the tone of the series. We aren't just dealing with mindless devils anymore. We are dealing with calculated human espionage. To counter this, Makima assembles a protection detail of absolute specialists. Kuzukabe, the textbook professional. He's rigid, disciplined, and carries a contract with the Stone Devil that makes him a walking fortress. Hirofumi Yoshida, the real wild card. Introduced as a mere third-year high school student working as a private contractor, Yoshida instantly steals the scene. His laid-back, smirking demeanor completely masks just how terrifyingly lethal his contract with the Octopus Devil actually is. But here's the brilliant narrative contrast. While the world's deadliest assassins are closing in, Denji is completely oblivious. He treats his 24/7 maximum security detail like a bizarre, all-expenses-paid vacation. He's eating ice cream, hitting up arcades, and living his best life under constant watch. This exact juxtaposition, a clueless teenager chasing mundane high school desires while standing directly under a global death warrant. To understand the sheer scale of the chaos that follows, we have to analyze the four distinct assassination factions that descend upon Tokyo, each bringing a completely different flavor of nightmare to Denji's door. First up, hailing from the United States, the American brothers, Aldo, Joey, and Togo. Armed with a contract with the Skin Devil, these three can perfectly mimic the face, voice, and even the memories of anyone they touch. They seem like a highly coordinated Black Ops unit at first, but their bickering and chaotic energy quickly turn them into the arc's dark comedy relief. They're desperate for a payday, but they vastly underestimate the absolute meat grinder they just walked into. Next, Germany deploys its most feared urban legend, Santa Claus. Operating through the terrifying mechanics of the Doll Devil, Santa doesn't even need to lift a finger to cause a massacre. With a single physical touch, any ordinary civilian is instantly transformed into a mindless, loyal doll. Worse, the infection spreads like a virus from doll to human. By the time public safety even realizes Santa has arrived, the crowded streets of Tokyo are already acting as a massive sleeper cell army. Worse yet, these dolls can infect others through physical contact, creating an exponential viral army. The true horror of Santa Claus lies in anonymity. The assassin doesn't even need to be in the country to stage a massacre. They can simply infect a tourist or a passerby and watch Tokyo tear itself apart from within. Then, we look to the Soviet Union, which sends a deeply unsettling duo, a cold, methodical woman known simply as Master, and her young, dedicated apprentice, Tolka. Their dynamic is built entirely on psychological manipulation and emotional detachment. The Master treats Tolka not as a human being, but as a finely tuned instrument of death, teaching him to hollow out his emotions so he can kill without hesitation. Their inclusion introduces a lingering sense of dread, as it becomes clear that they are playing a completely different, much more patient game than the other assassins. Finally, China deploys its ultimate weapon, Quanxi. Quanxi is one of the most fascinating characters in the entire series. Known as the First Devil Hunter, she possesses centuries of combat experience and physical attributes that defy human limits even before she uses any supernatural abilities. She travels with a harem of 4 fiends, Pinxi, Tsujihaji, Long, and Cosmo, whom she genuinely cares for and protects. Quanxi's motivation isn't political ideology or raw greed. She wants to secure human rights, safety, and state-funded education for her fiends. This makes her deeply empathetic despite her role as an antagonist. Her historical connection to Kishibe, Japan's strongest hunter, adds a layer of tragic history to the conflict, establishing that these 2 legendary figures once stood on the same side. This brings all surviving factions into a single, localized geographic point, a multi-story Tokyo department store. What follows is an absolute masterclass in multi-perspective narrative choreography. While Quanxi is tearing through the building, the psychological horror of Santa Claus manifests. The department store is completely surrounded and infiltrated by thousands of dolls. The civilian population of the area is entirely converted, turning the environment into a claustrophobic trap. Public safety hunters are forced to fight through crowds of faces they might recognize, unable to tell who is a regular human and who is a puppet waiting to strike. Just as the tactical chaos reaches its absolute peak, Fujimoto pulls the rug out from under the entire cast. The old man we believed to be Santa Claus in Germany was nothing more than a proxy doll. The true identity of Santa Claus is the Soviet master. She had manipulated Tolka from the very beginning, using his genuine affection and respect for her to prepare him as the ultimate sacrifice. With a chilling lack of emotion, she activates a contract with the Hell Devil, sacrificing Tolka's life and body to summon an entity that transcends standard devil contracts. A giant multi-fingered hand descends from the sky, ripping the entire department store and everyone inside it clean out of reality. This transition into Chapter 64 is widely regarded as one of the most iconic moments in modern manga history. The frantic, noisy, blood-soaked action of the Tokyo department store is instantly replaced by an oppressive, absolute silence. The characters find themselves standing on an endless field of grass beneath a sky composed entirely of doors. Fujimoto completely shifts genres here, moving away from action shonen tropes and plunging directly into pure cosmic horror. The visual metaphor of the astronauts, the pinnacle of human bravery, scientific achievement, and exploration, sliced cleanly in half, praying toward an unseen entity, tells the audience everything they need to know. Human comprehension means absolutely nothing here. Then comes the manifestation of the Darkness Devil. As a primal fear, this entity represents a concept that humanity has feared since the dawn of consciousness. It has never experienced death in human history, making its power absolute. The character design is a brilliant use of negative space and surrealism. It is a towering construct made of shadows, skeletal remains, and suffering human faces. The power scaling is completely shattered. The Darkness Devil doesn't engage in a standard fight. Its mere presence warps reality. In a single, horrifying panel, the arms of every single person present, Denji, Aki, Quanxi, the fiends, are cleanly severed from their bodies simultaneously without the devil even moving. When a violence fiend attempts a desperate, full-power assault, breaking his mask to unleash his true strength, he is effortlessly dismantled and impaled. Quanxi's fiends are destroyed with a glance. The sequence evokes total, unadulterated despair. Our protagonists, who felt incredibly powerful just chapters prior, are reduced to screaming, helpless victims in the face of an unfathomable power. The only reason this arc doesn't end in a total party wipe is the arrival of Makima. Summoned via a desperate contract made by principal public safety members who sacrificed their lives on Earth, Makima steps into hell. The ensuing confrontation between Makima and the Darkness Devil is a clash of unfathomable powers. They exchange invisible, crushing force attacks that cause both of them to bleed, proving that while Makima is monstrously powerful, even she is testing her absolute limits against a primal fear. She manages to manipulate the environment just long enough to force a contract with the damaged Hell Devil, pulling the broken, mutilated survivors back to the human world. Back on Earth, the nightmare is far from over. While they escaped Hell, the true Santa Claus managed to secure a piece of the Darkness Devil's flesh before leaving. By consuming this flesh, Santa Claus undergoes a horrific transformation, evolving into a colossal, multi-limbed centipede-like monster covered in porcelain doll faces. This darkness upgrade grants her absolute immortality as long as she is touched by any form of shadow or darkness. She heals instantly from any wound, and her power amplifies to world-threatening levels. With Aki unconscious and the rest of public safety incapacitated or dead, the survival of Tokyo falls entirely on Denji. This brings us to the thematic core of Denji's character. When faced with an opponent who possesses infinite regeneration fueled by darkness, Denji doesn't come up with a complex, tactical strategy. He uses his trademark, completely unhinged logic. He realizes that if darkness makes her immortal, he simply needs to eliminate the darkness entirely. He grabs a nearby vehicle's gasoline tank, drenches himself from head to toe, and sets himself on fire. Because of his hybrid nature, he can continuously regenerate his flesh as long as his engine is revving, meaning he can exist as a living, breathing, agonizing bonfire. The visual art in these final chapters is stunning. The contrast of the stark, pitch-black night of Tokyo against the raw, blinding white light of Denji's flaming chainsaws creates an incredible sense of motion and impact. Denji fights through pure agony, using the light of his own burning body to constantly nullify Santa Claus's regeneration. It's a battle of sheer endurance and madness. Denji isn't fighting for global peace or political stability. He's fighting because his simple life was disrupted, and his sheer, chaotic willpower allows him to literally burn the international threat to absolute ashes. Even after Denji turns himself into a living bonfire, a primal fear's power doesn't just vanish. The darkness-infused monster doesn't burn up right away. It endures the agonizing heat. But just when you think Denji is about to close the deal, the battlefield fractures. Out of absolutely nowhere, Quanxi blitzes into the frame. With a single cold-blooded strike, she cleanly chops Chainsaw Man's head off, instantly declaring that their temporary truce is officially over. Yet, the burning monster is still a threat, and that's when Quanxi's crew delivers the absolute finishing blow. Cosmo, the Halloween fiend, unleashes her psychological nightmare. She forces the monster's consciousness into the infinite library of the cosmos, flooding its brain with the entire knowledge of the universe. Driven completely insane by the sheer weight of total understanding, the monster's mind breaks. Overwhelmed mentally by Cosmo and physically by the lingering fire, the great international threat finally crumbles into absolute ashes. In the eerie, silent aftermath, the cleanup crew arrives. Kishibe and the octopus guy, Yoshida, pull up to the scene. But instead of drawing weapons, they immediately do something bizarre. They blindfold themselves. Why? Because they know exactly who is arriving next. In public safety, seeing too much of Makima's true power or her explicit actions is an easy way to get targeted. For Yoshida, it's a tactical survival instinct. For Kishibe, it's deeply personal. He knows what is about to happen. The air goes completely sub-zero as Makima finally arrives. Quanxi, knowing she is completely outmatched and cornered, drops her weapons, and surrenders, begging only for the safety of her fiends. But Makima doesn't do mercy. Without a single word, a shred of hesitation, or a drop of emotion, Makima uses her invisible execution authority. In one swift, silent motion, Quanxi's head is severed. It is a brutal, chilling reminder that no matter how terrifying the international assassins were, the most dangerous monster on Earth was the one pulling public safety strings all along. The International Assassins arc completely redefines Chainsaw Man. It takes our characters through the meat grinder of physical mutilation and cosmic dread, leaving permanent psychological scars. Aki Hayakawa is left profoundly traumatized after witnessing the ease with which his friends were slaughtered in hell, setting up his desperate actions in the subsequent Gun Devil arc. Denji proved his lethality to the world, but the cost of realizing just how fragile his small piece of happiness truly is. It stands as a masterclass in narrative escalation, shifting from a political thriller to an action blockbuster, plunging into cosmic horror, and ending on a deeply chilling note that sets the stage for the tragic conclusion of Part 1. The International Assassins arc is a relentless ride from start to finish. Which phase of this massive battle royale stood out to you the most? Was it the introduction of the multinational killers, the horrifying descent into hell against the Darkness Devil, or Denji's completely unhinged flaming chainsaw tactic? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. If you want to see more deep, page-by-page breakdowns of your favorite manga arcs, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next deep dive.